Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna die in my seat.
What? No! No! Whoa, that's crazy. When did that happen? Dude, it's like it's changing in my head. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Now we do this one.
You can do it. Wait, what's your pity?
I don't know, probably 0. Okay. Winnable. Okay, this is 33.333% chance. Please. Let's go! Let's go! Yup, he's finally here. Now, I already talked about his abilities, weapons, and artifacts in my first Ayato video, but I was only really going on the leaks. But now that he's actually out, I can level him up myself and help you guys choose which artifact set to use and which teams he'd be best in. First of all, his normal attacks have 5 consecutive slashes, with the charge attack looking pretty cool. Now, his ability throws down this illusion that used to taunt enemies, but now it just explodes when enemies come near it or the time runs out. After that, he goes into the stance where he deals really quick hydro slashes to the enemies in front of him, which is the main source of his damage. His ult is basically a Ganyu's, putting down this circle on the ground that deals hydro damage to whoever's standing in it. Okay, and that's that. Now, today's video is going to be a little different than the other videos because I'm not really going to be going off a script and instead just going to be showing you guys my first-hand experience with him and just tell you what I think. First things first, his talents. Now, I'm not really going to go in depth in them and just tell you which one you should be leveling up first. The main talent you want to be leveling up is his ability because that's the one you're going to be using the most. His ult should be second and his normal attacks would be the third, but aren't really needed at all. I just level them up because he's my new main. Now, the talents are pretty straightforward, but his artifacts could get a little confusing because there's so many options for him. The first set I would recommend is the 4-piece Heart of Depth. It's a really consistent artifact set, giving you 15% hydro damage bonus and increases your normal attack damage by 30% when you use your elemental skill for 15 seconds. Other sets that seem pretty good for him are also Gladiators and Shimenawas, both giving him an 18% attack boost, but in my opinion, Shimenawas will probably be doing more damage. The 4-piece gives you a 50% attack boost when you use your ability, as opposed to Gladiators, which just gives you a permanent 35% damage bonus, so the Gladiator set is probably going to be a little more consistent, but seeing that most of Ayato's damage is on his ability, I would say Shimenawas would probably deal more damage overall. However, during his trial run, Hoyoverse gave him the new Echoes of the Offering set that came out with the Chasm, which confused me at first because I thought that it wouldn't be very good for him. But looking more into the 4-piece, it seems to be pretty good. I would say that this set is really good for Ayato, but saying that it just came out, a lot of people probably won't have good enough pieces, so I recommend just using one of the other ones I mentioned. Now about his artifacts, I think most people are confused on what main stat their Sand should have. Testing his artifacts myself, I found that you should be running an attack Sands on him because even though his ability does scale off his max HP, you'll be doing more damage with attack as the main stat as opposed to HP. You also want to be building some energy recharge on him, especially if you're going to be running him in a freeze team. Now, a lot of people are having trouble deciding how much energy recharge he should have. I only have like 116 ER, and I can build his entire ult only using his ability twice. So I guess if you want to run him as a Hydro Applier and just want his ult off cooldown, then you should be running more energy recharge on him, but it's not really a problem for me. Alright, onto his weapons. You saw in the beginning of the video, I did get his featured weapon, and I'm really glad I did because I can tell you guys right now, it's not needed. It does have pretty high base attack with a lot of crit rate though, and it looks really good on him. But before Ayato got released, I got the Black Sword from the Battle Pass and got it to level 90. Testing the two swords side by side, the difference between them isn't really that extreme, even with the Haran's passive talent. But then again, the Black Sword is also not for free-to-play players because you need to buy the Battle Pass, so I'm going to be talking about some free-to-play options. Regarding the ones you can craft, I would say the Amenoma Kageuchi would be the better one of the 3 for Ayato, giving you attack percentage as a substat and a passive that gives you more energy when you use your burst. But for the other 4-star weapons, I would recommend Lion's Roar, especially if you're going to be running him in a Taser team. The passive gives you a damage bonus against Pyro and Electro, so it sounds like it could work with a Vaporized team as well, but I don't think there's a character in the game that applies Pyro faster than Ayato applies Hydro. But apart from that, for new players that don't have many swords or access to the craftable weapon, I would say Cool Steel would probably be the best option, giving you increased damage to enemies that are affected by Hydro or Cryo. But apart from those, most 5-star weapons can be used on Ayato, the best ones being Primordial Jade Cutter and Mist Splitter, both giving you a crit substat, but since I don't whale, I don't have them, so I can't really test it. Now, Ayato is a very flexible character and can be put in many different teams. One of the first teams I'm going to be talking about is a Vaporized team, which has 3 4-star characters, with 2 of them being on his current banner, so it should be a team that a lot of people should have access to. Now, I've shown my Child's Vaporized team in the background of other videos, and it's basically going to be the exact same team, just replacing Child with Ayato. Now, this team does work, and is pretty easy to build and play, but the only downside I have with this might sound pretty dumb. It's the fact that Ayato is sort of applying Hydro too quickly. Now, this isn't a bad thing, but using these 3 supports with Child and putting my Ayato on a Taser team for the second floor would seem better in my opinion. So let's talk about the Superconduct or Taser team. Now, one of his best Taser teams is with Bennett, Fischl, and Beto, which I know that Bennett is a repeating character from the Vaporized team, but I do have a solution for that. If you guys are up to date with the leaks about the future characters, you might have seen a character called Kuki Shinobu, which I'm sort of excited for because the leaks say she's going to be a healer, and if that's the case, then a team with Ayato, Shinobu, Sucrose, and Beto doesn't sound bad because you'll still have a healer, electro resonance, and a swirl reaction to buff everyone's damage. Now, I'm kind of just saying this because there's been no leaks on any of her abilities, but it just looks like a pretty good team to me. Okay, so literally while I'm writing this, Shinobu's ability just got leaked, but her ability takes a percentage of her HP and creates a circle around her that heals the active character and deals electro damage to the enemies around her. Her ult scales off her max HP and deals continuous electro damage in a circle in front of her, but then again, these are all leaks, so don't take my word for any of this. But back to the Taser team, another team comp that seems to work is just replacing Beto with an Animo unit, generally Kazuha, but since I don't have him, I'll just be using Sucrose here. Now this is a team that does work, but Bennett and Sucrose could be doing more on other teams, so I wouldn't really 100% recommend this one. The last team we'll be talking about is a freeze team, which I've seen a lot of people use Ayato and Ayaka for, but that does require 2 5-star characters, so I wouldn't really recommend it, especially for free-to-play players. Now you can substitute Ayaka with Rosaria or Ganyu if you have her, but you generally want to be having a character that applies cryo off-field. But for the not free-to-play players, having Ayaka will be doing the most amount of damage in a freeze team, but then again, she's not really needed. Personally, I wouldn't really recommend Ayato's freeze team because it does require a lot more building and has a lot of characters that many people don't have access to, but if you have them, then go ahead. But other than that, you want an Animo support to swirl and maybe Diona for a shield and cryo resonance. Now his constellations are all pretty good, but then again not needed. At C0, he's a fully fledged out character with really satisfying animations and insane damage. But I guess if you're going to be spending money, then the first 2 constellations in my opinion are really good for him, but don't spend money. Now in conclusion, I love Ayato and all of his abilities, and he has easily become my favorite character to play and explore with. I really do recommend pulling for him, but then again, Kazuha is going to come out soon, so I guess I have to spend more money, so if you enjoyed the video, make sure to sub. It really helps me out and lets me get these characters so I can make more videos on them. Other than that, thanks for watching, and Hydro Supremacy.